So this is our Google Sheets unit, and we are using these online resources, and GCF stands for the Goodwill Community Foundation. They're out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and they made these great documents for us to use, and you can learn lots of things through them. And it's all published on this OER website, which stands for Open Educational Resources, or Education Resources. So there's a lot of things that are free out there, and these are good, credible sources. So if you wanted to learn about something new, you could check out what else they have on there. So we're going to scroll down. We're not doing Google Drive and Google Docs because we've covered those already. And pretty much the spreadsheets are the area that I think most of us need to learn more about. So the first option is getting started with Google Sheets. So you should already have gone through and copied all of these files into your digital literacy folder, I hope. So I went through and showed how to do that in the last video. And so we have lessons 9 through 16 because all of those had existing files. So these are just copies. I haven't done anything with them yet. I just copied them through today. But for our spreadsheet that we're working on now, so if we go to getting started with Google Sheets, again, all of them have exactly what you're going to learn on the side. So the main area is the introduction, and so it's going to teach you how to make new Google spreadsheets. And then they're going to talk to you about the interface, so what it looks like. So they have everything labeled here, and if we want to see this menu bar again, we can come back out. They're going to talk about cell basics. So remember, everything in here is a cell. So the cells, the way you say the cell is anything that's a letter is the column name, and anything that's a number is the row name. And so this particular cell, which is the intersection, if you click on it, you can see that it's active by seeing that box around it. So this is cell C10. So you just need to be aware of how cells are named. And then they talk about understanding cell content, so how to select cells. So you can click inside to select it. You can see that that one is selected. You're also going to learn how to select a cell range. So you would just click inside, click and hold, and drag down in the middle. So that selects the cell range. And then for cell content, you can have lots of different types. You can just type right into the cell, and once you do that, it's just going to populate. And depending upon what it is that you're typing, it'll either align one way or another, and you can change that later on. So usually we can type, you can type words, you can type dates, you can type numbers, and you can distinguish the numbers. You can make them be currency or whatever you want it to do. You can copy and paste cells by using the Control-C to copy, and remember the Control-V to vomit back or to paste. And then you can cut by using the Control-X. So we'll talk about that if you want to cut. When you're in a cell, if you have it highlighted, you can also, so they're saying the Control-X to cut on your Windows keyboard, which we all have Windows. Some of you have Mac, so it's going to be a command instead. And you can also paste, so you can cut and paste, or you can copy and paste, or you can also do something called drag and drop. So if you move your cursor just on that line, you'll notice that the cursor will change to a hand. And when it changes to the hand, then you can move it. And then they also talk about the fill handle. So notice this cursor, there was a blue box over in the corner, and when the cursor went over the blue box, that's the fill box. This is the plus sign. So that's like saying, take everything and add it to these cells. So I think that looks like the addition sign. So I'm saying add it to all the other cells. So that's like a copy when you can drag it. So it's the fill copy, it fill handles. And then they talk about if it can fill in a series. So if you typed the date and then you dragged down, then it's going to copy the date all the way down, so it knows that it wants to do a series for you, which is very convenient. And what else is this going to show us? This is out of my window, so I cannot see. Oh, and the last piece is the challenge. And so this is what we're going to be working on now. And oftentimes I like to have my screens side by side so I can see the directions. So what I would do is I would take it out of full screen, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag this guy to one side and let go. So that makes it half of my screen. And now I'm going to go into my digital literacy folder, and that's the other half of my screen. Now, the first thing I have to do in this challenge is I need to create a new spreadsheet. This ended up not going halfway through. Let's see if I can make it go halfway. Made it big. There we go. So it's halfway because I want to be able to see these directions. Maybe if I make them just a little bit smaller. Use the control minus so that way I can see the directions. It's not as big. All right, so when I'm in my Google Drive, the first thing I need to do is create a new blank spreadsheet. So what I like to do is navigate over to the folder where I want it to be. And so that way I know it's going to be in the right place. So it's not just going to be randomly popped into my drive. So I'm going to click new, and you guys are experts at this now, and I'm going to do a new Google Sheet. And so it gives me a warning message because this is a shared folder, and that's okay. So I'm going to create it in my shared document. You will also get that because you've shared yours with me. If you're working just in your own folders on your own, you probably haven't shared it with anyone, so you can just create things without getting that message. So remember, we're doing file management, so we want to name this spreadsheet. And this one, they tell us they want us to call it practice spreadsheet. And I'm also call it lesson 8, practice spreadsheet. So it gives the title that they wanted, plus it helps me because I remember that it's number 8. So I've done that one, and now in cell A1, so I can click in cell A1, and I know that that's the correct cell because it's a darker gray. Do you notice that? And then this cell is blue, so I can see that it's A1. And I need to type the date, and it wants me to use the format of month, day, year. So they want it to look like that. So today's date, let's see, so they want month. It's December, and today is December 9th when I'm making this video, and then it's 2017. And then I hit enter, and that sets that date in the field, and it's the same date that they wanted me to do. Now it wants me to use the fill handle. So remember, I have to click back in that cell to get the fill handle and see that square. Watch what happens to my mouse when I go over it. See how it turns to the plus? And it wants me to copy all the way down to A10. So I'm saying, okay, I want to add this formula all the way down to cell A10. And I let go. And you see that it changed the dates, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. So it knows all the way up through the 18th. So I've done that. Now it wants me to drag and drop to move them to B1 and B10. So watch what I do with my mouse. These are already selected. Let's say I had clicked away and they're not selected anymore. Because some people have trouble finding out or figuring out the difference between the fill handle and the selecting. So if I'm going to select a range of cells, I'm sorry, I'm just clicking weirdly. I click inside the first box and I click and I hold it down. And I drag down. So now they're all selected. So you can see I first clicked here and I just kept dragging down. Now I want to move this. And I'm waiting for my cursor, which looks like an arrow now, to turn to a hand. And so I go to the lines. You see how it's a hand now? So I click and hold, and you see it has dotted lines, and it shows me, okay, I'm going to move it, and this is where it's going to go. So when I let go, all of the dates are now moved over to the B column, just where they wanted me to put it, B1 to B10. Perfect. And you can see those are the ones that are highlighted. So I'm going to click away, and then it says it wants me to delete the contents in cell B5. Okay, so B, and I go down to 5, and I'm looking to make sure it says B and 5 are the highlighted ones. They are. It wants me to delete, so I'm just going to hit the backspace button. So now that is deleted. So I've done that part, and it says, so it's going to show me a picture of what it should look like, except it's not letting me scroll. Here we go. And so you can see, although the dates are different, just because they did this back in 2016, I'm doing it in 2017, it looks exactly as it's supposed to be, so I know that I'm done with this one.